Well, hello. Welcome back, everybody, to Aligning with Success. I'm your host, Mike DiMuccio, Niken Royal Diamond. And I've been with Niken, for anyone who may be watching this playback or on the call, for 28, almost 29 years now. And yeah, I would have never guessed in a million years when I was first introduced to this. If you'd have told me, Mike, you'll be doing this for the rest of your life, I would have told you, you're out of your mind. I've got plans. I've got places to go, people to see, things to do. It turns out I've done all those things with Niken as the vehicle. So thrilled. We're having a fantastic August as far as Augusts go. And as far as this year of 2020 goes, it's a surprise for many of you, I'm sure, and certainly for the rest of the world when they hear that Niken is a business that's thriving in this environment. All the more reason for us to share the value of Niken, the virtues of Niken as a business idea. I got a text message just before coming on this call live from Madeline Zaworski, one of our tenured consultants, who said, actually, she won't be on the call tonight because she's sponsoring her last consultant for the qualifications for Hawaii for one of our incentive programs, and wrote best month ever. So that's awesome. Again, I'm thinking, here we are in August. We've had 8 months of this year. And most of those 8 months have been under the duress and the stress of a very complicated and confusing environment, with many pieces of information out there with respect to health and politics. And it's chaos. It's quite frantic out there. And yet, in spite of that, there's a place for this conversation and a place for Niken to thrive. And that's exactly what's happening. So August is a fantastic month. So I invited Sophia, well, she volunteered to be on tonight's call. Some of you know my daughter, Sophia, who's staying here. And
Hello.
And she always adds some really interesting things to the flavor of our conversation. So I'm going to let her open up to you, or you open up to her as part of tonight's conversation. I want to, first of all, thank you all for joining me and congratulate you all for, again, another wonderful month. This is our last day of the month, so I'm a little bit nostalgic about it because here we are at the end of August. My son turned 18 this month, and I was looking at pictures as recently as this morning of when my son was like 2 years old, and I'm thinking, wow, I mean, when did that happen? And here we are in August, and it's like, wait, we're already in August for 2020. It's like, what happened to this year? Just went. So yeah. Well, anyway, we want to make the most of our life. You know, I've been struggling with what would be tonight's theme. I usually come up with a theme. It usually hits me before the call, and I've been asking, you know, what's it going to be about? And I'm looking at what could we talk about that we haven't already talked about, or a way that needs to be talked about that will help you get past whatever it is you might need to be getting past on a personal level to start experiencing the kind of life and lifestyle that you want and that you're deserving of. And those are two big things, by the way. What you want, most people don't even know what they want. So hopefully you're getting familiar with that. And whether you feel deserving of it or not is another matter altogether. So those of you who know my daughter, Sophia, she has a channel that you can plug into called the Mind Palace. She posts on Facebook, but her main frame is Instagram. And if you don't have an Instagram account, you might want to think about it. That's become quite the commercial environment. And a lot of the Niken consultants out of Latin America, most of them, in fact, are taught to have an Instagram account and then to utilize that account in ways to promote Niken and Niken products. And now that Niken is giving us a lot of tools in that direction, and will continue to do so, give us those nice memes and pictures and so forth. And if you're not getting them, it's probably because you're not plugged into Nikan International on Facebook. They usually post there, and then I take those photos and I post them on the tools chat on WhatsApp. So if you're not getting those messages from the tools chat on WhatsApp, then you're not on the tools chat. That's something you want to do right away, is get plugged into the tools chat. If you want to send me a WhatsApp message, and I'm going to repeat that, it's got to come to me via WhatsApp. Send me a WhatsApp message. That means you've downloaded WhatsApp, and you can send me a WhatsApp message to my cell phone, 416-409-5800. I will add you to the tools chat. That way, anytime something's posted that's quite important or relevant for your business, for promotion's sake, I push it through that channel. If it's going to be a tool that's very useful. There's other group chats that are available to you as well. There's a chat called LP Expansion. That comes from Launch Partners. That was the original core group of platinums we were working with when we were developing our strategy for online marketing of Nikan, and communicating as a team to create events. We created the thing called Launch Partners, but there's so many more people who are part of the Launch Partners organizations that wanted to participate in these dialogues. So we added a group, Launch Partners Expansion, short form LP Expansion. And that means if you are a launch partner, you can include members of your team to LP Expansion, and then they also receive information through WhatsApp that's relevant. So for instance, tomorrow, I will be posting first thing in the morning the promos for the upcoming event taking place on September 19, the big Zoom-in event. We have guest presenter Ruth Lowe and her husband will be on there. We're going to be pushing out tomorrow. Something we haven't done before is a promo video, short video that promotes the event. So if you're not on those chats, then you're not going to see it first thing. So again, if you're not on those chats, make sure you get part of those chats. Send me a WhatsApp message and I'll include you in those chats so you receive current information. Anyways, again, some of you just joined, having a fantastic August. Ruth, if I can plug into you for a second here. How's your August? You usually are pretty, you're kind of a weather vane a lot of times for me in terms of how things are moving along. So what's your August like?
We're at about 6,000 PGV. It's lower than we expected and lower than we wanted to manifest, but night's not over yet. So we shall see.
The night's not over yet. Cool. Is anybody else here at 6,000 PGV? Leo?
Thank you.
Way to go, Leo. So is Mike. Leo? I'm at like 6,300. Where are you at? 6,200? I can't hear you. You're muted. Leo and I have a thing.
61.
61. Okay.
I attend for 3 more orders.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Very good. So it's neck and neck. Mike DiMuccio, Leo LeMay, who's going to be #1 in Canada in August 2020? We'll see. Anyways, all right. Well, thanks for joining, everybody. I've got my daughter Sophia here. She's often got some insights into life from the perspective of somebody who's been on the peripheries of Nikan and sort of observes the situation and has been participating in some of our calls previous. So Sophia, hi, welcome. And do you have any thoughts that you want to start us off with? I know I'm just throwing this at you.
Yeah.
but you've always got something going on. And it's usually pretty insightful and inspiring. So Sophia DiMuccio, what do you got?
Hello, everyone. Yeah, this is definitely unexpected. Usually you give me like a question or prompt or something. What can I say? I don't know really what I can say that relates to Nikan specifically right now, just based on like things I'm going through, but I can speak on like kind of the world stage level and what I think we should all be focusing on moving into like what feels kind of like a new era. Right? I feel like the first 6 months of the year, were very chaotic. It was a time for like introspection and reflection. And now we've been in a little intermission period and we're about to move into the second era of the year, which is going to be about taking action, right? With all the new perspectives and the new revelations that we've come out of, you know, the last 6 months with. For me, I'm in this like teeter-tottering of being really motivated and also being like kind of discouraged at the same time, because I see like how polarizing the world is right now, and there's a lot of chaotic energies going on. But the message that keeps coming to me through like things that I'm reading and in my meditations is just like, how can I be the most loving version of myself every single day? Like, love is the top priority right now, because you know, you're gonna get triggered. In the environment that we're in right now, you will be triggered. You know, you will feel judgment placed upon you, and you will feel want to judge others. And the thing I keep going back to is, you know, how would Jesus look at this situation? Or how would Mother Mary look at this situation? How would like our ascended masters look at these situations? They would always look at it through the lens of love, recognizing another person as a divine reflection of yourself, and asking yourself, you know, how can I let this person be who they are and, you know, express their free will? Everyone has their choice, and we have to be able to allow others to make the choices that they are going to make, while also, you know, loving them and understanding that, you know, we can't control them. I always come back to this analogy of like holding something with an open palm, right? You want to spread awareness. You want to be a positive light in the world, but at the same time, if you try to grab too hard and control someone or tell them what they should or shouldn't be doing them, or argue with them if you don't agree with them or have the same perspective as them, you're really stifling their journey and their path, because they have to grow too. So it's like, hold it with an open palm, you know, with everything that you do in your life, with anything that you're trying to manifest in your life. Like, love it, have faith. Loving unconditionally is literally just that. It's loving without expecting anything in return, or without, you know, being upset if you don't get that love reciprocated. So just have it there in your palm, send it love, but don't try and grab it. Don't try and stifle it. Just let it be what it is and love it either way. So that's kind of like the message that I would share today, things that I've been reflecting on a lot today. And yeah, but it's exciting times that we're living in. The world is changing very quickly, and I'm very excited to see what the next 6 months bring.
Well, one of the things that I've taken away from this last month is an affirmation that I now have on my phone that I wake up to, and that is that I practice non-judgment. I practice non-judgment is something I read to myself every day.
That's a good one for you.
It's a very important one for me. My daughter knows me well because she sees me when I get agitated, and I was getting very reactive to a lot of what I was seeing on social media. And there's tons. I mean, there's so much going on. You can't turn left, you can't turn right. And then, God forbid, you actually have an opinion about something, boom, you're going to get whacked every which way but Sunday. And it's like, people are so polarized right now that you just, it's like they need just a punching bag. And I was one of those people who was reacting to the situation rather than, and thinking that I was being proacting by, you know, stating my case in very intelligent and, you know, using wordsmithing and word sorting as I was jousting with people. And then I realized, wow, that's a lot of energy going nowhere. People are of their opinion. You know, what is that saying? People convinced against their will are of the same opinion still. So, and that's kind of what Sophia's saying, is you can have an opinion, but it's just, let it be your opinion and not be required that anybody else share that same opinion. But anyway, so this idea of practicing non-judgment, reminding myself of that, allows me to catch myself. And I'm telling you that why this is important, because if we don't catch ourselves when we are in a state of contradiction, when we're contradicting the very thing that we want to create. You want to create abundance, and you can. You want to have a business that thrives. You want to make money. You want to make a difference, and you want to have fun. Would we agree on that? Mm-hmm. Make money, make a difference, have fun doing it. And so if there's at any point in time we're in some energetic contradiction to that, then we're pushing that away from us. And so what Sophia's talking about is the most attractive force in the universe, the thing that manifested all things in the universe, is love. Love is the most powerful attraction force there is. There's nothing greater. So being in a state of love remains or means being non-judgmental. Now, not to be confused with non-discerning. I mean, you can be discerning and non-judgmental. And what I mean by that is, I don't have to like everything or accept everything that's being said, because that would mean I have no opinion of myself that's worthy. I don't even have self-esteem enough to know what's true for me. So being discerning is meaning I can say yes or and I can say no to an idea. It doesn't mean I'm rejecting the person or the idea where where the source of that idea. So be discerning, but be non-judgmental. That allows you to stay in the vibration of love. And what I'm seeing right now is a lot of energy that's being projected into the world, particularly through social media, that's highly, highly charged. And it's like all of the anger and all of the frustration that has been residing within us is coming to the surface. So if you're somebody in that environment that somehow is able to stay firm and keep your head about you while others are losing theirs, and demonstrate love and compassion with being open and not judgmental, you're going to be somebody that people pay attention to. You're going to be somebody that you're sowing the seeds right now for that future reality. So what would a leader, let's think of the best case scenario. What would a leader look like in that best case scenario? Who would you turn to for leadership? Who would you turn to for support? And if you become that person now, you're the person people will be turning to when they are in their darkest hour. And that seems to be what's coming up for a lot of people. There's a lot of stuff coming up for people. I talk to people all the time, as do you. Pain, physical pain, is coming to the surface, which we know is all repressed emotions. So there's a lot of physical pain coming up for people. They need relief. Maybe some of that relief is just having somebody to talk to who can just, not be judgmental of them, but just be there for them. And so our role as a Nikken wellness consultant is really expanding, I think, in this environment. And I think that's one of the reasons why Nikken is thriving right now, is because not only is our role relevant, but our role is more relevant than ever. And it's an expanded role as a leader. What does it look like to be a leader in this age? In this age, in the age of 2020, what does it look like to be a leader going forward? We're also sowing the seeds of the future reality that we're going to live. Knowing the law of attraction is an absolute. It makes no mistakes and it's non-judgmental. It's simply cause effect. Then as you sow, so shall you reap. So one of the things that I love about this community is that what brings us together in this community is optimism and hope. And that's what keeps things moving forward. If we didn't have any of that, there's a lot of people right now, they say, the suicides rates are 300% higher than ever. That means there's a lot of people who are losing hope or who have gone to the point of desperation. So hope is what carries us forward into the future. And being a beacon of hope is what will carry others forward into the future. So again, our expanded role here, it's always been our role, but it's now an expanded role because we really stand out in a crowd. I don't know if that's something you've noticed, but I think as the dialogue gets really agitated, the person who's Switzerland in the middle, and I don't mean Switzerland, the country, I mean Switzerland like you're Zen and you're just laser focused in the middle and neutral, you're the one who people will turn to and say, well, what do you think? You know, these opposing things will turn to you and say, well, what do you think? Well, what do you think? And you'll just be like, listen, it's all good. You know, you're entitled to feel the way you feel and think the way you think, because all possibilities exist in the quantum field. All possibilities. Every single version of you is existing right here, right now. The question is not that. It's, what do you want? What do you want to feel? Do you want to feel angry? Does it make you feel good to feel angry? Then feel angry. When you decide that you want to feel something else, then feel something else. I'm just happy to be here right now, enjoying this precious moment because it's what I got. It's the gift that I have. Boy, those are kind of different words, right? How many of you have experienced right now being in, and by the way, I'm bringing this up because it's everywhere. I'm talking families, partnerships. There is stuff happening right now because it's all coming up. All the subconscious is coming up to the surface and really fighting us and creating conflict within family units and within relationships and so forth. And so if we're going to be effective in this environment, we've got to become centered, extremely centered, so that we're not being tipped off our axis regardless of the circumstance. Anybody here experiencing some of this in your life where you find yourself maybe being Switzerland for people?
Mhm.
Yeah. If you want to jump in and just give us an example of that's great, because I think that's what it means to be a leader in this environment. Yeah, Yoko, go ahead.
Well, it's not so much that I feel that I'm so-called a leader when I do this, but it's almost like it's not worth to go into that territory and to try to like neutralize the conversation or the interchange, and you know, whether it be something that they want to discuss or whatever. But I could tell you, for me, what really helped me personally was to be more connected to humans being more that Jeff does. Because talk about the word love, Sophia, he was going over, you know, some of our personal, I call it traits. And he gave us a card to say joy and suffering, and to see how that applies to our daily life, you know, where you can reflect back and start seeing how you're reacting. And then what brought this, what came to me automatically quickly was to forget the suffering, and it was joy and love. And that word love finally came back into my mind. You know, it's interesting because, like you're saying, there's so much strife. It's kind of like, that's what you have to do. My goodness, you know? And so as leaders, I think the humans being more does really give us more of a, I call it, open forum, you know, where we can now utilize that for humans being more and being more comfortable in that arena, and being, I call it, letting go of a lot of the other junk.
Anyone else? Thank you. Maggie, I can't hear you. You sound like you're talking, or look like you're talking, but I can't hear you. Wes, you've got something? While we're waiting for Maggie to hook up?
The thing that I notice these days, anyway, I look around me and the people around me all seem to be in their chosen silo. People just aren't listening to each other. They're not actually discussing. They're talking at each other and not together.
Hmm.
Do you disagree? Do you see that?
No, I absolutely agree. It's like minds have been made up and they're just supporting their own ideology or wherever they're coming from. And, you know, this too shall pass. That's why I'm saying that we're in a crisis right now, but this crisis is very deep, and it's been with us for most of our lives. It's coming to the surface right now, and circumstances are allowing that to happen. So in so many ways, this 2020 has been a year of tremendous gift, a gift that I don't think there was any other way to get there right now. We needed to get to a place where this introspection could happen, that whatever deep, dark things that we're dealing with, it's almost as if, not almost as if, It is. The subconscious mind is making its appearance on the surface, and nobody can hide it. And so what you're seeing, all those silos, is actually where people have been living for a long time quietly, making the political, making the conversations on the surface very superficial. Everybody being politically correct and all, but deep down inside, what they're really feeling is now bubbling to the surface, and that's creating this incredible friction. But wouldn't you agree this is also part of the healing crisis? When we help somebody with our products, what do you usually tell them? It might hurt a little bit more at first before it starts to feel better. That healing crisis. Maggie, you got your mic now. No. I don't know why.
Plug me in.
Well, there, we can hear you now.
Oh,
There.
Okay, now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I had two really interesting conversations today. The first one I'll talk about was a friend who came over to give me something, and I could tell that, she was a little off, and she's had issues with mental health and alcoholism and so on. So I said, you want to come in and just sit down and chat? And she said, sure. So an hour later, she just felt so much better, because it was about my listening to her without judgment, and her sharing with me the strife she's going through, the mind stuff that she's going through, and knowing that she knows better, pardon me, and having difficulty reaching that point where she feels anything other than despair. So, she thanked me, she hugged me when she left, and she said, I just feel so much better. And I think that the point is really listening with an open heart, not judging, not even giving advice, just allowing that person to come to that place within herself where she knows she's a beautiful human being and very strong and talented and all those things, because it's easy to forget that,
Wonderful. So, anyone else?
Michael?
Mm.
Okay, it's unmuted. On the Sizzle call tonight was a lady who was 79 years old. And you could hear in her voice this calmness, just contentedness. Mostly she was talking about the Nikken products and how they have helped her. But I thought of that demeanor that I heard in her voice. And that's the kind of thing that I'm noticing that I'm telling other people too. And so when other people start getting really nervous, I'm not. And it's like you said, it's not just the products, it's not just the Nikken technologies, it's the whole ideology. And I find that is becoming, did you say a beacon? But it's becoming a real magnet where you feel that calmness and it draws other people to you.
And so we're sowing those seeds to the future, because the law of attraction doesn't miss a beat. It's, it's almost like this invisible ear and eye is watching over you and hearing everything that you're intending, and it will return it back to you. So all of those, every one of those things that we're doing as individuals and with others is noted. And so the key then in this environment for us, and perhaps what explains the success of Nikken during this time, is that we have something that goes beyond politics. We have something that goes beyond the fractured soul. We have something that lives within us, that this fires up, this idea of humans being more, this idea of contributing to a life where the individual is a sovereign being, that we recognize the sovereignty within that being. The magnet that we have that from Mr. Watanabe that we put on our refrigerator, remember what it says? Does anybody remember? It says something about you are you, something about being specifically you. What makes you you, or I can't remember the exact words, but the idea behind that is really what is so relevant in this environment right now, is because we're being pulled. People are trying to pull us into their camp, into their silo.
You are irreplaceable because you are you.
Perfect. You are irreplaceable because you are you. In other words, you don't have to be somebody else. And so
Watanabe.
Tom Watanabe, perfect. So that strength that comes from being connected to a cause that is about humanity and about the humanity within you as an individual is, I think, the key, the glue that's driving this thing. Super. And yes, we have relevant products, but you're not going to get a conversation with somebody and you're not going to get into somebody's heart just because you have a product. They have to trust you. They buy from people they trust. And right now, if our sales, and it's always been stated, our sales is a function of trust. It's always been said. I'm Larry Prophet from the beginning of time. When I got started in Nikan, would always say sales are a reflection of trust. As you build trust, your sales will increase. And that means if you build trust with your organization, if you build trust with your clients, your customers. So clearly what's happening here is we're doing something right. We're creating an environment that's trusting, trustworthy, and people are responding by taking action when we make our recommendations. And how we can keep that going forward is stay grounded, stay centered, stay love actuated, and non-judgmental. And that keeps us in that place of being open to receive, and therefore a trusting influence in a situation that's otherwise very chaotic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think especially because you are selling health products and the climate that we're in right now involving health, it's more important than ever that people trust you, because right now people don't know who to trust, right? There's so much misinformation. You hear one statistic one day, another statistic the other day. But I think it's making people become more and more aware of how important it is to be healthy, to keep their immune systems up, to be taking care of themselves mentally, emotionally, and physically. And something that I love about Nikan is that the way you guys go about health is in a very empowering way. Like when I compare it to like Western medicine is very disempowering. It's all about giving your power away to a doctor or to a medication or to a surgery. It's like the whole concept is that your body is so weak that it needs all this external help to keep it running. That, you know, naturally you're not healthy, that you have to work really hard to be healthy. But Nikan is all about just enhancing what the body already does on its own. You know, it leans on nature as like the you know, you guys study nature and you see, oh, well, this is how we create abundance and health in nature. We're part of nature. So this is how we're going to create abundance and health within our own bodies. So I like that it's that empowering model of like, it preaches the message of sovereignty, of you are already healthy. Your body already does these processes. Now let's just help your body do what it already does so well. Instead of here, let me give my power and my authority away to someone who knows better than I do. So I think that is really something that we need to be leaning on more, is like, how can we become more sovereign in ourselves? And Nikan is perfectly in alignment with that message of taking your health into your own hands, of making your health a priority on a daily basis. I mean, the last I saw, the CDC updated their website to say that 94% of coronavirus deaths were related to serious illnesses that the person have already had. You know, 44% of Americans have 2 or more life-threatening diseases as it is. Mm-hmm. So really, the death count that we're seeing is proportional to the lack of health that already exists within people. Does that make sense? Like people
Absolutely.
that are already suffering are the ones who are suffering a lot because of this virus. So if anything, it just makes me think we need to place a more priority on health in our daily lives, not just now, not just because of this pandemic, not just to boost our immune system and not get it, but health needs to become a priority in your daily life. You have to nourish yourself every single day, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Comes first. And Nikan has been preaching that message to me since I was born. You know, for me, it's like nothing new, but I can see that for the majority of people, maybe they don't really consider the things that they're putting in their bodies or the stresses that they're putting themselves under on a day-to-day basis. But when you come into contact with Nikan and you're part of this community, you really start to understand that health is the most important thing that we have. And health is three, you know, it's not just three-dimensional. It goes, it's many dimensions deep: physical, emotional, mental, financial, right? And so it's just looking at this all-inclusive concept of health while also empowering people to know that, hey, you can be healthy just by enhancing your own natural abilities. Just by tapping into your own like divine potential, you can be healthy. And that's where we're going in the future. I really believe like that's where our society is heading, is we're seeing the reason people are losing trust now in the medical system and in our financial system and our government system and all of our major systems in the education system. People are losing trust because those systems are no longer sustainable. They're no longer in alignment with where we're heading as a humanity. But Nikan is aligned with where we're heading as a humanity in sovereignty, in being able to regulate yourself, right? Without being dependent on external structures to keep you healthy and keep you safe and whatnot. Even financially, Nikan has always preached sovereignty. You guys are able to make money independent of anything or anyone else, right? So this business is perfectly aligned with where we're going as a collective. And that's why I think you're going to start seeing more and more people kind of look towards you and say like, what's that? That sounds really interesting to me. And people will naturally start to gravitate towards this kind of business model, especially because it's about health and like how important health is right now for all of us.
Guys, she's 22 years old and she gets it. And we have been struggling, and for many of us for years, trying to figure out how to communicate to this young generation. And maybe it was a timing issue. Maybe now everything is just converging. It's a moment of convergence for what we do and the relevance of what we do. You would think, Sophia, you were a Nikan consultant for 20 years, the way you're talking. That's, I know I'm your dad, but
I basically been like.
Anybody have any thoughts or questions or want to chime in on this? Anyone? Well, it is month end. It doesn't have to be a long call. I'm sure some of you guys got some sales to finish up with orders. Maggie, you have a question or a comment? Your hand went up.
No, sorry, that's a clap.
Oh, okay.
To Sophia. And I agree, Sophia, like we have been immersed in this culture, it's more than that, lifestyle, myself for 25 years, longer than you've been alive. And it's something that I sometimes take for granted until I'm with people who have no clue about this whole concept that you're talking about, self-empowerment and self-care and all those things. And I think, wow, I'm so blessed to be part of a community that's making a difference from the way we are being as well as what we're doing. So thank you for your insightful, youthful, wonderful comments.
And
You know,
I want to thank you too, Sophia. I'm going through some personal as well as some Nikan things, and you said a lot of really good things. So thank you for setting us off tonight.
Thank you.
Can I add something?
yeah, please.
Well, one of the things that I figured out, which took me a hell of a long time to figure it out, when I got started with this business, we were trying to help people, and I found out that I can't help people. All I can do is inspire them to help themselves.
Yeah.
That the reality is that people today, and one of the big problems we have in this country is that people are expecting the government and the medical community and the insurance company to take care of them. And it's time for people to take back responsibility for their own lives. And I inspire people to do that, and I hold to that, and I don't try to do otherwise. And it's starting to attract people to me.
Wes, I think that's like, you just nailed it perfectly. is like inspiring people to take responsibility for their own lives. And when you hold that vibration, people are naturally going to be drawn to you.
I think
Because that's what, yeah, exactly. Like that's what people want right now, is they want to know, like, if I can't trust, you know, all the places I've put my trust in, where do I go? Who do I turn to? And it's all about, it's like, hey, you got this, you know best for
right.
you.
Like
You
you-
know best for you. You always have. Right?
Well, like I was saying earlier, it was about trust. I mean, that's the thing that's really broken down in this country is we don't have leaders we can trust. We don't have anybody we can trust. We don't trust each other. And so we have to hold strong in order to develop the trust, and it takes time for that trust to take hold. So basically, I know for the last 6 months or a year, I've been focused on just being as trustworthy as I can be. That attracts people to that, and it's working. It's slow, but it works. But the people that are coming to me with their pocketbooks open and doing what needs to be done.
Let me tell you something about that comment, Wes. The idea that it's slow, but it's working. Compounding always appears slow at the beginning.
True.
1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8. You know, these pennies are adding up, but they're very few pennies. But then you hit that bend in the knee, and then it's overwhelming. So don't underestimate the power of compounding. What you're doing is creating an outcome far greater than what you're experiencing right now, because it's compounding. And that's the beautiful thing about the law of attraction, is that the law of the harvest is you don't plant a seed and get a seed. You plant a seed and you get a crop. So right now you're doing the seed, you're planting the seed, you're tending to the garden, and you're going to receive the harvest of that.
Well, the seed has to develop roots before it can actually turn into a tree. You know?
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think one of the things that I think why this time is so important is that you don't lose hope, you don't lose faith. You recognize the significance of this time and your role, your place in it, and the future, because you're holding a vibration. You are holding a vibration if you're a Nikan. You've been doing this for a long time, and you're now starting to understand that the world is changing around you, that is coming into alignment with this vibration that you've been holding. And that means when they see it, right now they're just turning their head. Their eyes aren't focused yet. But once they see it, they're going to want it, because you are representing it. You represent what it is that they want. You're vital. You're involved. You're curious. You're open. Your instincts are there. You're naturally inclined to be a giver and a generous person, and all those conditions that right now people don't know where they can go to find that. And so what you have been practicing all this time, what you've been perfecting all this time, what you've been mastering all this time is becoming relevant in this time. So don't underestimate the fact that, okay, the checks haven't been through the roof. Trust me, that isn't going to be an issue for anybody on this call. The world we are moving into, the demand that this has is already there. It's just now moving towards its moment of convergence, where more and more, and that's why I'm saying there's something happening in Nikan. Recognize we've had an absolutely extraordinary year. It's just like, wow, everybody else is pulling their hair out, wondering what to do next. And we're like, I don't know what I'm doing right. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it seems like I can't really do anything wrong right now. And you just got to be that person. Just keep being that person, because that's the person that people need in their life, is that person who has a connection to truth. And it's not political. It's nature. It's only natural.
Hey, did you notice that in the news, they're actually talking about truth now? Truth? Which truth is really true?
Yeah, really. It's
I'm part of the news media now. It's
hey, listen, you know, sometimes things have to get really deep and ugly before that they can come back up and be purified. And I think that's what's happening. It's a purge. There's a huge purge taking place on planet Earth. And quite frankly, I don't think we've seen the worst of it.
No.
We're getting bits and pieces of stuff like this and all that. And a lot of it's, you know, put it back down, put it back down. No, it's going to come up. It's got to get out of the system. You can't, if you've ever done any emotional work, and of course I'm talking to people who do emotional work every day, but if you know people who do emotional work, you know, who do psychological work, you cannot heal unless you bring up to the surface what it is that's repressed. Well, you guys, you've been doing this for a long time. You can't be in Nikken this long and not have gone through this. If you did one human's being more, you've already done a lot of this work. So we have done the work. Many of us have done the work to heal within, to be the healers now, because we've done the healing from within. And that's what's happening planet-wide. Planet-wide, like, we're not talking about, oh, there's a few people I talked to today. It's everybody you talk to today. You can point your finger at a crowd anywhere in the world, any city, any country, any island, point a finger to any person, they're going through this. And so if you're that person who's 10 years ahead of them, 15 years ahead of them, 20 years ahead of them, because you've been doing this work for a long time, you're going to be the person that they recognize intuitively. They're going to see it in you. They're going to feel it around you. And that's what's happening right now. So the thing that would help you and Nikken and your paycheck is to be more visible, is to be more available, is to be more out there in terms of accessible to more people. So make yourself accessible as best you can. Figure out ways to become more available, more accessible to more people. That's the key. We need to be in circulation. We need to be out there. It's great to be together, but that's not, you know, we're sort of patting each other on the back all the time we're together. We need to be out there, more in circulation, more exposed, more vulnerable to the people who are out there needing.
One thing you can do that I have done that's worked for me to attract people is in your meditation, imagine yourself like a broadcasting tower, because that's what you are. You're an antenna, right? And imagine, like, with every thought you think, you are pulsing out a frequency out into the field. And whoever is available and ready to pick up on that frequency will pick up on that frequency. So, like, for example, when I was manifesting my 1,000 followers, I would just say in my meditation, the frequency is at themindpalace.ca, at themindpalace.ca. So that whoever was ready, and I would see this going out and reaching, like I would imagine like faces or like people, like little stick people around, and it would, you know, it would like a wave, like you drop a wave in the water, and how like the wave just flows out. And I would imagine my thought like flowing out 360 degrees all around me and reaching all the people in my vicinity who are ready to hear that message and who are ready to like follow my page and start learning with me and hearing these messages. So I know all you guys have a name for your business that you call your business. Papa has good vibrations. So you could imagine yourself in your meditation just repeating the name of your business, you know, and just with the intention that whoever is ready, whoever needs to hear this, whoever needs these products right now, I'm here for you. I'm here to help you. I'm open to receiving you. And just put that message out there, because that you really are so connected to everyone on these subtle energetic levels that when you tune your vehicle to that, they will find you. And I really believe that. So that's a practice that you guys can start doing if you want to make yourself more seen and more visible.
And 5G can't interfere with me. I'm at 100G.
Exactly.
You know, if you haven't seen Sophia's post this past week, I'm not sure what the date was. I reposted it on my Facebook page and through, I think I may have shared it as well on Instagram, but the post that you did this was it this week or last week? I mean,
It was this week. I've been honestly not posting as frequently just because I'm taking a little time, trying to be less on social media. You guys are trying to be more visible. I'm trying to be less visible at the moment because I'm doing a lot of work internally. I don't want to just like talk the talk. I want to walk the walk too. So I take these periods where I kind of like withdraw a little bit more, and I'm doing that. But it was 5 days ago that I posted it, and it looks like this.
okay, so let's take a
You
look.
can
Let me
find
just,
it on my Facebook page.
let me do this. Hang
or-
on. Keep talking so people can see it. Yeah.
Conflicting vibrations.
Say something, Sophia, so we can see the image again.
Hello?
Keep talking.
Oh, hi. Okay. I can even read the caption because it explains this very well. But essentially what you have on the side, this arrow represents increasing states of consciousness.
Mhm.
So this person is you in everyday life. And in everyday life, you know, you're absorbed in the dramas of 3D reality. You are who you think you are. You have all your past memories which tell you you are who you think you are. And plus you have all the things in your outer environment, all the people in your life, all the triggers in everyday life who are reminding you of who you are. So you might be over here trying to manifest abundance and thinking and affirming to yourself, I'm abundant, I'm abundant, I'm abundant. And you know, sometimes when you're trying to manifest something and it feels like you're lying to yourself, well, that's because you're still expressing these things from the state of consciousness that says, no, you're not abundant, right? And I put down here like C's credit card statement, I am not abundant, right? Because it's easy to be just talking, and then you see that number in your statement and you're like, you know, thrown off. And immediately it feels like you're lying to yourself because you're putting out conflicting vibrations. Now, what happens in meditation, and this is you in meditation here, is you move into a completely new state of consciousness. So you tune, if you're a tuning fork, you're tuning your resonance to a new frequency, to a new resonance, so that whatever you put out from that resonance will not conflict with whatever you put out from this resonance. So from here, if you're in a state of non-resistance, if you're in a new state of consciousness than you are in your everyday life, and you put out a message from there, now it can flow effortlessly into the void with zero resistance because you're not the same person. Like the way that I see it, the only difference between me and Jesus Christ is level of consciousness. It's a state of consciousness. Jesus Christ is a state of consciousness. He was aware that he was God, not just on an intellectual level, but spiritually, emotionally understood that he was God. So from that state of consciousness, you are not attached to the same identity, right? So you're not attached to the person who sees that credit card statement and says, oh, I guess I'm not abundant. You're in a completely new vibration, your vehicle is tuned to a completely new frequency. So when you put out a vibration from that level, it's not going to be in conflict with anything else. And that's why I really think meditating is so important when you're trying to manifest something, because you have to get off of yourself. You have to get away from who you are now if you want to step into the unknown and create unknown realities. I hope I explained that well.
That was perfect. Let me just sort of give you the Coles notes then. So if we move from this person, the personality that you're familiar with and everybody's familiar with, that's creating your own personal reality. And you're trying to manifest in this state of mind, this state of consciousness, the personality that you are. I'm writing my affirmations and I'm saying them out loud and I'm looking at them in the mirror and all that stuff. And you're doing all of that. And that's not doing something that is broadcasting. That's not the problem. The problem is that personality who's familiar with your current existence, your current life, your current reality is also broadcasting. So there may be a message where, let's say this month's volume, you set a goal for this month's volume and you didn't hit your goal or maybe, I don't know, whatever, just there's an objective that you've set in this present moment as this personality, but there's conflicting things. Oh, I've never done that before. I've never hit that volume before. I don't know many people, and whatever the current personality utilizes in order to identify itself as I am this person, that's being broadcast simultaneously. And if those messages are in conflict, then you're not going to manifest a whole lot. So how do I
take a long time?
Or it'll take a very long time.
And things will just seem to be happening randomly because you're always sending out different frequencies, right? So things are going to happen randomly because everything is random in your field.
So now, how do I manifest with greater power, with greater purpose, with greater intention, with greater potency? I have to step outside of that identity that I'm familiar with, being myself, into the place where I'm one with the universe, where I'm no longer Mike DiMuccio, the person or the personality. I have to move into a consciousness, a state of mind where I go beyond the personality, where there's less of me, that person, involved in the dialogue with the universe. So if I step into that through meditation, so meditation calms us down, separates us from the past, separates us from the future, brings us into the present moment. In the present moment, we connect with our true self, our true nature, not the identification that is based on the past and the future, primarily the past. We move into a higher state of consciousness where we are one with the universe. And there's techniques you can learn, many different things. Sophia's given us some cues into that as well. So as we move into this higher expression of ourselves, it's still me, but not me, the person. It's me, the spirit, which goes beyond the physical, goes beyond the personality, goes beyond the past, goes beyond my limited concept of myself. Now I'm stepping into the higher concept, which is one with God. And hence, therefore, when Jesus would say, I and the Father are one, it was a statement that was accurate because he was moving out of Jesus, the person, the human being, the Israelite, born in Bethlehem, to I and the Father are one. We're inseparable. We're the same. I am a manifestation of the divine. In that state of mind, in that frequency, which is a much higher frequency than the personality, when you send a message out to the universe of manifesting something, Lazarus, come forth, there's no opposition because the personality can't possibly conceive of that. Can you conceive of raising the dead? Not as yourself. I doubt it. But if you could move into that higher expression where you and the universe are one, there's nothing you can't do. You created the universe.
Yeah, just to give like a little funny analogy that I just came up with. It's like, imagine if you're trying to manifest love and you just got into this huge fight with your sister and you're angry and you're crying and you're just like so frustrated. And then you're like, okay, I give and receive love willingly. I give and receive love. Like in that state, you're not really believing any of the words that you're saying, right? Because you're angry. Your emotional state is not corresponding with the mental state that you're trying to put yourself in. And you can never think greater than how you feel, right? So what if then instead you took some time, you calmed yourself down, you let a few days pass by, you're not so involved up in the emotions of the fight anymore. And then you decide to sit and meditate. And from there you say, I give and receive love freely. I give and receive love freely, right? It's just going to feel so much different because you're not in the same emotional space, emotional or mental space. And that's what meditation is about. It's like calming the mind. So your mind isn't jumbled all over the place, running all over the place, consumed in the physical world anymore. Calming the emotions. So you have almost like a blank canvas where you can experience those heightened emotions, right? Like if I'm so caught up in like stress and, I have to make breakfast and then I have to do this and then I have my emails I have to send out and then I have to do this. You're not going to be in a place where you can experience a heightened state of joy and gratitude and prosperity. You got to kind of shut all that out first. Come into the present, create that blank slate. And now I'm free to experience whatever emotions I choose because I'm not tethered to anything else that's going on outside of me. I can completely focus on my inner world and be in full control over my inner world. So that's kind of the way that I see it.
Beautiful.
So Mike,
Well, yes.
Mike, you're an engineer, right? Or you're trained as an engineer.
Yeah.
So think about this. You know, we're sending out this signal, this high energy signal. Maybe we can send out a cleaner signal if we're sitting on a grounding pad.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea, because physically you are actually then connected to the earth.
Yeah.
You're neutralizing all of those frequencies that are maybe causing agitation. If you're physically agitated, you are mentally and emotionally agitated. So bringing our body into a physical state of harmony with the universe is critical to the experience. So I see Sophia outside on the grass when she's doing this.
There you
She always
go.
goes outside in the backyard, and she's parked herself on the grass because that's nature. She's right there in front of the trees, in the forest, on the grass, and doing her thing. So yeah, a grounding pad would be an incredible asset and tool for doing this work, clearly. But the idea is there, right? The idea is, if I can move out of this frequency of jumbled noise into a frequency where there's clean, blank slate, and I send out a message, I send out an intention, that broadcast is not being opposed by an alternate signal. Even when I come back down to my personality, even if I were to send a message from this place that was a contradictory message, it's not on the same frequency. It's not on the same channel. It will not be heard by this. It will not oppose this signal. And what goes out must return to source. That's the law. So if you shift your frequency and then broadcast, that's not opposed. When you come back into this place and time where you open your eyes and you see everything, and you still have that bank account statement in front of you, or the Visa statement, whatever, that's still what you see with your eyes right here, right now in this place. But the information that you broadcast out is not opposed. So that would suggest we spend more time, more often. If you do affirmations of any kind, don't do them from here. Do them from up here. So that means you need to get yourself into that place. How long does it take you? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Practice will make it easier, and you'll be able to get there quicker. But the idea is, shift your frequency to the higher frequency, then send the information out. In that space, in that place, then it goes unobstructed, and it will return to source.
Which brings us back to intention.
Most certainly. So therefore, let's end this call with the idea of an intention. We're going into September, starting in a matter of hours. How about making September really an extraordinary experience where you commit to yourself that you apply this in one way, anyway. Pick something that you want to manifest. Doesn't have to be grandiose, but just something that you can, at the end of September, say to yourself unequivocally, I did this. I created this. I, being the grander I, the I that creates all things, created this. Why don't you do that? If you let September be the opportunity for you to create a manifestation, because you followed the objective, you followed the rules of the game that were laid out centuries and centuries ago, eons ago, by the masters of time, told us this is how you do it. We're just constantly being distracted, constantly being bombarded, so that we don't do this. But what if we did? What if that was the norm? We want a new norm, guys? How about that being a new norm? The new norm is, that's how I manifest. That's my new norm. I now purposefully go to an altered state of consciousness and create my affirmations. That's my new norm. I can assure you the law is the law. It's immutable, it's unbreakable, it's non-political. It doesn't care whether you vote blue or red. It is the law. And so if we apply the law, we will create the benefits for ourselves, our family, people we care about. And to own this, to own this, to take this into the rest of your life means you live the way you want to live. And you can help others ascend to that kind of life as well. That's our work, my friends. It's always been our work. Nikken is a vehicle, a platform that has enabled us to experience this collectively, together as individuals and together. And it's given us the means, the tools to work with to create that reality. So let's make September the greatest month of our lives. You know, I started this call by saying there's somebody who's not joining us tonight. Madeline Zaworski texted me to say, I'm working on the last person to sponsor for the qualifications for Hawaii, so I won't be on the call. Greatest month ever. That's how she ended her text. Well, how about we make September, every one of you who heard this call and every one of you who listened to this playback, commit to apply this starting tonight, starting tomorrow. Put it in your calendar so that you give yourself permission to take the time to move into that altered state of consciousness. And you'll know if you're there. You'll know if you're there. You'll know if you're calm. You'll know if your mind is clear. And there, send an intention forward, whatever it is that you want to manifest in the month of September. I bet it won't even take all of September. Let's leave it at that. Thanks everybody for joining. Sophia, thanks as always. Brilliant. I have a brilliant daughter, don't I? She's amazing. And
Hey,
thanks-
hey,
DiMuccio,
Michael.
you're awesome.
Yeah, Mike,
Hey,
go ahead.
I was wanting to introduce you to some new people on your call.
Sure.
You have Eric Rosso.
I saw
wave
Eric.
your hand,
Where's Eric?
Eric.
There's Eric. All right. Eric, great to
And
see you.
then there's John Mickner. And then Alex Okega.
I see John's
Okegu.
picture. And I'm sorry, Alex Okegu. Hey, how you doing, guys? Very
And then
nice
we
to
also
have you.
have the phone number is Carl Jones.
Carl Jones. Mike, way to go. Thanks for introducing us
And
to
evidently they're interested in the law of attraction because that's what I told them about. And,
Wonderful. Well, I hope you guys heard something tonight that might inspire you to maybe do a little research. By the way, again, Sophia's channel is The Mind Palace. So if you go to Instagram at
Here, I'll
The
type
Mind
it.
Palace, go ahead and type it in. At The
It's
Mind
at
Palace.
themindpalace.ca.
.ca, and you'll find her information. She's done a lot of great videos on the law of attraction. And of course, if you've heard tonight, she has a great interpretation of how it applies, and she's been applying it. And welcome to the call. Welcome to Nikken. Mike, thanks for inviting them to join us on this call.
and they
Gentlemen.
all received Leo's first 4 emails.
Fantastic. Congratulations, Leo. Again, inspiring leaders as you do. So thanks for doing that. If you haven't seen Leo's system, again, it's something I've shared with you on the tools chat. I've shared with you on the other chats. If you haven't got it, drop me a note. 416-409-5800 is my cell. Send me a WhatsApp chat. Send me an email, goodvibesintl@gmail.com. Goodvibesintl, short form for international, @gmail.com. And I'll make sure you get the link to be able to download those emails as well. Fantastic. Folks, I'm really happy that we end this month on a high. And we begin September, our best month yet, with this inspiring information. Have a great night, great month end. See you next week.
All right.
Thank you, Mike and Sophia. Awesome call.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
You all.